Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I'm your host Scott, and with me, as always, is our most wonderful Hilka and Sestra. How are you both this fine day?
I'm doing good. I'm getting in the mood for the spooky season, which historically I have not been a big fan of, but I am friends with enough people who do like Halloween that I'm slowly being converted.
One of us. One of us.
See, the big thing for me is I just don't like dressing up. I don't like wearing costumes. I'm from a country where Halloween has only really become a recognized event in the last, I want to say, like 5 to 10 years, right? Like, I've talked about this on Unfocused before, but like our equivalent for like Halloween and trick-or-treating is St. Martin, which is like in the beginning of November and is more religious in nature, given that it is named after a literal Catholic saint. And it's also way more boring because, like, traditionally for Halloween, like you have the jack-o'-lanterns, but if you go back farther, it like to like the original like Samhain, it was like turnips, where you carve the jack-o'-lanterns out of, and then they
Those were some big turnips. Wow.
Yeah, well, it was actually closer to how we do it, right? You have like how we in the Netherlands do it is we also use turnips or sugar beets to make like little lanterns that you carry around.
Hilka, I'm in love with you. I have never made a lantern out of either of those things. We just made them out of paper when I was a kid.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? People realize this sucks. Carving turnips and sugar beets is a pain in the butt. Let's just do paper instead. I have made a lantern out of sugar beets, I think exactly once when I was a very small child. But that's how it's traditionally done. But yeah, and so we go around and then like it's not even candy. The traditional thing to hand out for St. Martin is like tangerines.
Oh.
I mean, that's a traditional thing, and you will still get like one or two old folks who'd hand those out, but most of the time it is just candy. Like, overwhelmingly.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Is like St. Martin has adopted a lot of things from Halloween to make it less boring. But that's only because Halloween became such a thing in countries other than the US.
Yeah. Like, it is a bit, commercial and like American pop culture, yada yada. But out of like all of the over commercialized American holidays, it is the best one. Let's not mince words. Like, Halloween is great.
Yeah.
I'm a big Thanksgiving enjoyer. I will say I'm a big Canadian Thanksgiving enjoyer, which has already happened to the best of my knowledge, because I just like cooking large meals for people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as nearly as weirdly colonial as American Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Seskra?
I'm also good. Been very, very busy getting ready for a variety of things here in the meat space, TM. But that does include getting ready for Halloween.
What? You don't spend 23 hours a day in front of your computer? Lagasp.
Not unless I'm trying to make a deadline for this podcast, which today I'm not. Haha! But no, getting ready for Halloween, specifically Polish Halloween, Jade. But we've gone on about Halloween and Halloween-related stuff long enough. But yeah, that's been keeping me busy. Also, playing some very, 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 very long games, as we will get into.
Yeah.
When we get into it.
Ah, nice.
How you beating the heat over there, Scott?
I have graciously turned off the fan so that we can record. I can record this podcast without any fan noise in the background.
That's the level of professionalism we bring to the table, folks.
I just got to get into this trance of okay, I'm just going to do the podcast. I'm going to do this trance. And then once I finish up, bam, the sweat's going to hit me.
Mhm.
Okay, for the joke I'm trying to make to work, I need to know, are you sitting or standing?
I am sitting.
Okay, so this joke does work. You're going to get up from recording the podcast, and there's just going to be like a river of sweat that runs down the back of your office chair as you like unstick yourself.
I was just going to make the joke that it's going to be like a QT Marshall match and that there's absolutely zero fan noise.
Heyo! If you're a wrestling fan, that joke is very funny.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, once I finish the podcast, I'm going to get up and it's going to be so sticky, the chair's going to be attached to me.
Half man, half chair. He is the chairman.
I used to have one of those like really thickly padded, like fake leather IKEA office chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute hell in the summer. I'm so happy with my current office chair because it's mesh on the back, so it breathes.
Yep.
Oh my God. And it has, lower back support, which that one also didn't have. It's also adjustable and all this. But the point is, it's way less annoying to sit in during hot times.
Exactly. I've pretty much got the same. It's got a mesh and it's sort of back support as well for my chair. Folks, if you're listening, please do not get gaming chairs.
No.
They may look nice. They may look fun at the time, but they're not suitable for long sits. Just get yourself an office chair, proper office chair with back support.
Yeah, I can't overemphasize enough how much like learning about the actual position your body has to be in when sitting in an office chair has improved my quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ergonomics is a science for a reason.
Yes, that's the word I was trying to talk around because I couldn't remember it.
I mean, if you work in a standard office, you're like every year you'll get a form to say, make sure you do the checklist, make sure your desk is the right height, make sure your chair is the right height, and you're sitting properly. It really does help people.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact: my brother is like, no, I think he technically works for the government. He's like, he works for a company who work for the government. And as part of that job, every year, everybody who works there, or at least in his position, they get like a budget from the company for ergonomic equipment. Things like, monitor stands or office chairs or electric standing desks and stuff.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Shout out to the Dutch government. It's one of the few good things you do nowadays.
The only thing we can do in Australia is claim our office equipment on tax. Well, let's get into it. And before we get into it, I'll just remind everyone that we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/GamePodular. You can throw us a couple of dollar dues. Just if you can. If you can't, you got to take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of yourself in these troubling times. But yeah, we do have a GamePodular. You can also buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/GamePodular. Just throw us a quick couple of bucks. We also do have a lively Discord GamePodular community. You can join that as discord.com/GamePodular. And I'll also remind you that we do have a Twitch channel, twitch.com/GamePodular.
Twitch.tv.
Where we have Twitch.tv, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so used to .com. So okay. Twitch.tv/GamePodular. We regularly try and go through streams. Last one we had was Helka was playing some Hollow Knight. That was quite good. Quite interesting to see.
Yeah.
And I'll also remind everyone that we do have a YouTube channel. That this one is youtube.com/@GamePodular. So yeah, we're on the YouTubes. So give us a follow there.
Also, youtube.com/@GamePodular streams highlights, because that's where we upload all our stream VODs and highlight compilations of the streams.
Mm-hmm. And for less than the price of a turnip jack-o'-lantern a month, you too can help us keep the lights on.
Pay for more office equipment so we can do these things more comfortably.
That's right. All right, let's get to what we've been playing.
Yes.
A little while ago, Nintendo released the updated their NSO app for the Super Nintendo. A few of them. One I was most interested in was Mario and Wario, because I actually had the actual cartridge itself.
Wow.
I actually have the cartridge. Yeah. The thing is, I only have a European, like, PAL Super Nintendo, so I've got an adapter. Mm-hmm. And what that does, you actually put your Japanese cartridge in, and then you put another European cartridge in, and uses some sort of the lockout code to sort of bypass it. So you can play Japanese and American games on the actual Super Nintendo. Which sounds good, but unfortunately, because the game isn't optimized for Europe, it actually does slow it down.
Right, yeah, refresh rates.
Yeah, the 50, 60 hertz issue, yeah.
Exactly. But no, now I can play it. Now I can play it properly. But be worried. Cecily, you've also been playing this. So you've had this, or we'll discuss this with the previous Unfocused podcast. I have also played the wonderful Bubsy.
Claws encounters of the furred kind.
That's a word for it.
Bubsy and claws of the fur kind. Yeah. This is growing up in the 90s, this is one of the ones that was blasted on and everywhere. This is actually, there's a game, I don't know if you're too aware, there was actually a game show in Australia called Amazing. And the idea is that you had two primary schools, they would compete against each other. And it was the case, I believe, you had to actually you had to answer questions, you had to go through a maze. But one of the things that actually did, they actually played a competition with video games. So
Nice.
originally it was Super Nintendo, and then they actually did it with Nintendo 64. So you had them play on like Mario Kart 64, Super Mario Kart, and I remember one of the games that did end up playing was Bubsy, and I thought, I've never actually played this. Might give it a go. It's free. It's on ESO. I know it's they got a retro compilation. I believe there's a Bubsy 4D. Yeah, this is not a good game, Sasha. You can attest to this.
Oh. I said it before on Unfocused, and I'll say it again here now. Every bad thing you have ever heard about this game is actually true.
Yeah.
A thing I mentioned on that end focus as well, that I'm really still to this day, like 2 weeks after recording that episode or whatever, that I'm still trying to get my head around is, why are they so determined to still make Bubsy a thing? Because, like, Bubsy 4D is like a new game, right? Like, they made a new Bubsy, like Bubsy 3 or whatever, like a while ago, another 2D platformer. And then Bubsy 4D is, I think, like a sequel to Bubsy 3D. Like, why are they trying to Roman Reigns push this Bobcat? Again, the joke is very funny if you're a wrestling fan, and I apologize if you're not.
Because Crash Bandicoot managed an actual good comeback, and so there's a lot of people trying to like hop on those coattails.
I think Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. I think there was another one that did somewhat come back. You also got the retro thing like Uku Replay. I know that's originally was ukulele, which was Banjo-Kazooie, but sort of that vein, sort of trying to revive older style games.
Yeah. And of course, who could forget my boy Cow to Kangaroo? Made a big comeback in 2022.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
I'm still eagerly anticipating the return of Voodoo Vince.
I own that game. I will fight you. That game was good, damn it.
I will say I've never played it, but I believe it. But it's like, I think it is the mascot platformer that the fewest people have heard of.
Fair.
Like, at least Buck Bumble is kind of a meme nowadays, you know?
Yeah. Leave a comment if you remember Voodoo Vince.
Only 90s kids remember Voodoo Vince.
But no, this is so yeah, it was free on NSO. Give it a try. I don't want to say wish I didn't. I'm glad I played it, but my god, I'm so glad I didn't have to pay for it. It tries to be Sonic the Hedgehog, and it just doesn't literally doesn't land, because every time you jump, you have to make sure, because when I was first playing it, I was jumping really high, and then all of a sudden I was like, why am I dying? Why am I getting fall damage? I couldn't figure it out. I said, why? And then it hit me that you actually got two types of jumps. You got a shorter jump, which then allows you to glide, and then you've got a bigger jump. So that threw me off a bit. Got used to that, but my goodness, anything that you do, like you run really fast, or you stop, or anywhere you hit, there's a good chance you'll hit something. You'll hit an enemy, or you'll just hit the wall, and Bubsy will just die.
Yep. It's not like Mario where you can have a mushroom and that'll give you like one more shot, or the rings in Sonic. There's no mitigation. If you hit something, you're just dead.
Exactly. That was exactly going with Sonic. It's just, at least with Sonic, you've got that fast impact. At least you can sort of have that buffer that you hit something, you lose your rings, try and collect the rings, bam. But no, this is just, it was, and you have, so there's 6 areas, the village, the fair, the Wild West. Area 4 is apparently just called Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now entering Canada.
I assume it's the biggest level.
It's the one that's got the most water, and that's another thing. The water. Bubsy cannot swim.
Well, he is a cat.
Cats can swim, Hyoka. I have video evidence of this.
Yeah, but the stereotype is they don't like to. They don't like water.
No, they don't like water, but they don't get killed by water. They just jump out really fast and try and attack you.
Yeah, they're not water soluble.
Yeah. But apparently Bubsy just not, just the sight of it just makes them limp. Yeah.
I mean, only the best video game protagonists in the world can't swim, Bubsy, Altair from Assassin's Creed 1.
Claude from GTA 3. Fifth area is the jungle, and then you've got the last one is the woolly spaceship. Which each of these levels has, each of these areas had 3 levels inside of them, and the last one only has 1. It's the enemy placement is a bit annoying. The enemies are pretty basic. You only really go around collecting balls of yarn. You get a couple of power-ups. You get an invincibility power-up and an invisibility power-up, which I don't understand how the invisibility works.
It's not like the enemies in this game have, like, Metal Gear Solid AI, Like, are there, like, scanning machines in the spaceship that you have to, like, bypass? Like, I'm genuinely struggling to think of a use case for invisibility in, like, a SNES era platformer.
The only thing I can think of is you got an enemy that's homing in on you, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Are those in Bubsy?
They are. I can't remember what they are. Just
Okay.
it's a blur, unfortunately.
A blur of frustration
uh,
and death.
uh,
Yarn.
the boss battles are pretty basic. You just get enemies that are just woolly enemies. They're just in two spaceships. You just got to keep jumping up and laying on each of them while avoiding the enemies they shoot out. Look, yeah, I played it. I'm glad I played it, but I am not really looking forward to playing any others or replaying this one. Yeah, I'll just say if you have NSO, give it a go, but do not give your hopes up.
At this point, like, what once is a coincidence, two is now once is an isolated incident, two is a coincidence. If the pattern holds, at least either me or Rosalie should play Bubsy at some point. That could be a funny stream, not gonna lie.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, I honestly thought that was something that they did for their pilot cartoon.
Nope.
The what could possibly go wrong? No, that's in the game.
They spent that's voice acting in a Super Nintendo game. I can count on one hand the number of times that's happened, and one of them is frigging Bubsy, and I'm not happy about it.
That voice file took up space on the cartridge.
Yep, a lot of it.
There was limited space back then.
Mhm.
Yeah. But no, I just want this to be severed from my mind. Now, however, speaking of severed, Hilke, you've been playing some Severed Steel. How has that gone for you?
Buttery smooth transition there, like an absolute pro.
Like steel.
Severed Steel, it's great. I picked it up a couple weeks ago because I should have looked up, because I do want to give credit for where I found it. Dominic Terrason, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, on Blue Sky, posts a lot about indie games and interesting indie games, and posted about this game that was like 95% off because it was the 4-year anniversary. So I picked it up, and it was great. And I highly recommend everybody play it because it rules. So the basic gist, it is a first-person shooter. It's got bullet time. It's got what I described as stunt mechanics, because there are separate buttons for wall running, mid-air, like leaping through the air, John Woo movie style, and sliding. And killing enemies while you're doing those stunts, allows you to dodge bullets, which is very important in this game. I suppose that's true of most games with guns in them, but you'll see, I'll get to it. It also allows you to regain health and to build up your used bullet time. And it's also got destructible environments, which you can do some very wacky things with. Now, I'm not usually like a very twitch reflexes kind of player. Like, when I'm playing an FPS, I prefer a controller. It just feels more natural to me to like pull a trigger on a controller than click on the mouse to fire a gun. And I like aiming is worse on a controller, but moving feels better. And I just accept that aiming is going to feel worse. You need the very specific aiming of a mouse and keyboard for this game. I played it on mouse and keyboard. I highly recommend you do the same, because when you're not in bullet time, everyone and everything moves so quickly. And so you're going to be wanting to use your bullet time to actually not die, basically, and actually be able to kill the enemies. But you need to do those stunts, which on the keyboard are shift, control, shift for leap, control for slide, and space to jump, and then you can jump onto a wall-to-wall run. Because this game is not easy. The level of twitch reflexes that is required is honestly kind of beyond my abilities. You also need to have like lightning fast decision making, which I can develop if I play this game a lot. But by the time I had finished the campaign, I hadn't fully gotten there yet. And I'll get to why in a second. Enemy weapons, or just weapons in general, are not like actually hit scan, but they're fast enough outside of bullet time that they might as well be. With the exception of like grenade launchers. Although, funnily enough, I think the flamethrower might be hit scan. Because in later levels, there's enemies with flamethrowers, which you have to like you have to hit like the fuel tank on their back. That's the only place where they take damage. Then you can pick up their flamethrower and use it. And I've like killed enemies in bullet time by firing the flamethrower, and they died before the fire like model or texture actually made contact with the character model.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Flamethrower, also a great weapon to destroy the environments. In case you're
Oh, yeah, I
wondering.
can imagine.
Yeah.
How much maniacal laughter was there while you were playing this?
Not a lot of maniacal laughter, but there was a non-zero amount of just a lot of sighs of relief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's a chain gun in this game, which there unfortunately is not, that would get some serious maniacal laughter out of me, just because I love channeling the Heavy from Team Fortress 2. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is you need bullet time. And so doing the slides, the wall runs, and the leaps is something very, very important. But generally, you'll also be doing these while you're using bullet time so you can actually hit the enemies with your weapons.
Mm-hmm.
A little more about the story. It's a sci-fi kind of cyberpunky setting. You play as a character. I'm going to level with you. The story is not like told in the most specific of terms. There's cutscenes, but they're closer to animatics. You have like still images with a small amount of movement, no dialogue, no voice acting because there's no dialogue, and that is how the story is told. So you wake up and one of your forearms is missing. And you
So you're
are
down to
out
3
for
arms, I see.
And you're out for revenge. And that's how it starts, and it gets weirder from there, as a cyberpunk sci-fi story often does. And early on in the game, you'll get like a Metroid-style arm cannon for your severed arm, which you can use to blast big holes in the environment. You can also use it to kill enemies. It's great for shooting the enemies that have riot shields because it's a big enough explosion that it doesn't care about the riot shield.
Hell yeah.
But it's another resource that you have to manage. There's only certain enemies. They're like heavy enemies. They have like power suits, basically, that you kill them and then you get a shot from your arm cannon back. So you do have to manage it as well. It's almost kind of like a puzzle game that just moves very quickly because of all the different like resources you have to manage and the decisions you have to make for, okay, what's better here? Is it better to leap here? Is it better to slide here? Is it better to like wall run and then do a double jump to get up there? Do I go around? This game is also very speedrunner friendly. The destructible environments add to that a lot as well, I imagine. Soundtrack's great. I'm not really a fan of like electronic music all that much, which you can tell by the fact that I called it electronic music.
You're allowed to be wrong.
But it's got some really good like pounding beats on the soundtrack. which really works well for like the really fast, like blistering action that happened in this game. And it also never got boring, which is important because I died a lot and had to restart a lot of levels while playing this. And now time to take that pin out of the corkboard. I did lower the difficulty at a certain point because I got stuck like halfway through ish. And I kind of wish there was a difficulty between like normal and the lowest one, because the lowest difficulty was honestly too easy because it gives you regenerating health and infinite bullet time. And I wish like there was a difficulty where you had regenerating health, but it was slower and just more bullet time instead of infinite bullet time. Because after I switched to the difficulty, no, that's not true. I did die a couple times, but that's just from leaping into the abyss because I was playing like an absolute ham sandwich. But yeah, enemies never killed me again. On the other hand, there are 2, maybe more difficulties above the normal for the real sickos. So maybe it is just a skill issue. And playing on higher difficulties makes the normal one feel like what I wanted that this hypothetical extra difficulty to be. But I'm not about that. My closest point of comparison is, have either of you ever played Hotline Miami?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's been like a decade, but yes.
If you want Hotline Miami as an FPS, this will get you very close. Because there's the same loop of like you pick up a weapon and then you use it until it's empty, or you swap it for a new one. Like you can't reload weapons. Once they're empty, and you have to pick up a different weapon from somewhere else. You do have just a melee attack, just a big old kick that you can use to knock riot shields out of enemies' hands, disarm enemies, and take their weapons. There's a variety of weapons in the game. They're mostly just like standard guns, shotgun, various SMGs and assault rifles and pistols. And there's a revolver, which I hated using and swapped it out as soon as I could. There's a grenade launcher, there's a flamethrower. Pretty standard stuff. But if you like I said, if you like Hotline Miami, but you wish it was an FPS, you should play this game. It felt like playing a John Woo movie, which is very high praise because those have some of the most spectacular action scenes you can have in action movies.
Mm-hmm.
Go play it. It's great. It's cheap. And it's still getting like... It's a game you could theoretically play for a long time because I just played the campaign, but there's like challenge levels, there's firefight levels, which I don't entirely know what those are because I didn't try them because I finished this game
because we had
like
a
2 days
deadline.
ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a game you could theoretically play for a very long time if you like it. And even if you're like just in it for the campaign like I was, that campaign rules. It's fast, but it's long enough for things to happen. But everything in it is just so fast and frantic, and all the levels are really get like cooler and more interesting. And I was shocked with how many cool and interesting and different ideas they put into this campaign. It was very interesting. I loved it. You should all go play it. The end.
I'm very nice. I'm very curious into this game. Curious how it plays. Also a bit curious. Sasha, you've been playing some Curious Expedition. How's that going for you?
They're saying he's the best of all time at segways.
It's a heavily contested title, but he's got a shot. But no, it's been going well. I did die a couple times, tore a couple holes in the fabric of reality, but that's just Tuesdays for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Curious Expedition, for those who don't know, it's a roguelite exploration game. I have a hard time pinning down the genre of it, as it were. The setup is it is the sort of Victorian age of exploration, and you are one of many famous people who's going to go out on expeditions to find cool stuff and report back on it. Which definitely has like there is definitely just sort of like baked into the premise a bit of like colonialist adventurism, I guess. But the game doesn't revel in that kind of thing at all. It doesn't like it doesn't regard any of the like, you know, peoples you encounter as like something to be exploited. It's just that exploitation was a thing that happened historically, and it isn't like it is something you can do in this game for potential benefit, although there's also benefits to actually, you know, playing nice and cooperating and letting those people be. Sometimes the people are dinosaurs, but I digress. This game is by Maschinenmensch. You probably haven't heard of them. They're a small German indie studio. I did look into it a little bit, and I want to give this game a shout out because it is a great example of public funding for indie games doing good work.
Oh,
because
you love to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the two lead developers, I'm gonna probably butcher these names, I'm sorry, Ria Gemili and Johannes Kistmann, both of them working at Jaeger at the time. You might know them from Spec Ops: The Line and nothing else that's very noteworthy. But yeah, they worked on Spec Ops: The Line at Jaeger and made a little browser version prototype of this game, essentially, in their off time. And then they took it to the Medienbord Berlin-Brandenburg and asked them, hey, here's our proof of concept. We would like to flesh this out into a full game. Would you like to fund it? And the government said yes and gave them a €50,000 grant to make the game. And they did. And it turned out really well. I really liked it. The setup, like I said, you're exploring, and that means going to a bunch of different locales where you have to find shrines and settlements and things like that to retrieve. I say report on it. What I mainly mean by that is bring stuff back. You are kind of Indiana Jonesing your way through. You know, you're saying it belongs in a museum, but you are bringing it to a museum by taking it from where it originally was. So
you're a British museuming it.
Yeah. To be frank, and a lot of the in fact, all of the playable characters are celebrities of the day. You got your Charles Darwins, you got Amelia Earhart, Roald Amundsen. A couple oddballs in there. You got, Nikola Tesla, Aleister Crowley, Harriet Tubman. It's a fun lineup.
H.P. Lovecraft as well, right?
Correct. Yes, he's got the Necronomicon, which, boy howdy, is that a roll of the dice. Speaking of the dice, all of the combat in this game is done by rolling certain kinds of dice and finding combos with them. It's a fun system once you figure it out. It's not super well tutorialized. If anything of what I'm saying sounds interesting, I would maybe recommend just look up a YouTube video real quick of somebody playing it so you sort of have an idea of how it works. And also just accept that the first expedition or two that you're going to play, you're probably going to die. But there are multiple different difficulty settings, and it is pretty hard to die on the lowest one. And also, dying in this game is fun. Dying in this game is honestly, this game is an anecdote generator, is how I would describe it. Because no two deaths are the same.
Cooler moment talk.
Yeah. You'll have a run that's actually going pretty well. And then you get a little bit greedy with one of the shrines where well, there is this mysterious fungus hanging out around here, but I'm sure we could do some grave robbing. And then you do, and then the fungus awakens, and giant fungus spiders. Or, you are asked, hey, while you're out there in the jungle, there was this soldier who went missing there like 10 years ago. If you find him, bring him back. And you find him, and you try to bring him back. Oh, he's a cannibal, and he just ate one of the other people in my party. Oh,
As you
dear.
do.
Cool.
Oh, dear. Mm-hmm. And if you do lose party members, and you absolutely can. You have the opportunity to recruit new people either at local settlements or at the start of each expedition, because it sort of got like an FTL setup, like it's a series of 6 expeditions in a row, and that is like one complete run if you make it back at the end of the 6th one. You're always just sort of dropped off into a region and told, find the Golden Pyramid. The Golden Pyramid is just kind of like, I don't know, is it a Shangri-La thing? I'm not sure, but that's always your end goal. But a good illustration of sort of the triple whammy structure of the difficulty is, on easy, it's just get to the Golden Pyramid. If you somehow manage to lock yourself out of that, like, say, by grave robbing a shrine that triggers an earthquake and then creates a chasm, and now you can't reach the Golden Pyramid anymore, you can always just go back to your ship and sail home with what loot you did get, but you get more fame and more rewards for actually finding the Golden Pyramid.
I do
So on easy,
have this
go ahead.
mental image now of like, you're giving your expedition report to the League of Extraordinary Explorers or whatever they're called, and you go like, yeah, so I was robbing some graves, and then I felt a very big tremor, and sorry, I've ruined everything for everybody forever. The Golden Pyramid is now completely inaccessible. Oopsie whoopsie.
On the upside, I brought back this hyena fur. Yeah, on easy, you just get to the Golden Pyramid and that's it. On medium, there is a good chance that the Golden Pyramid will require a keystone to open, which you will need to find elsewhere in that zone. And on hard, it's, okay, the Golden Pyramid is probably locked with the keystone, and it can be more than one as well, so have fun with that. And then once you get there, you have to get back to your ship again. I cannot overstate how much of a bastard that last bit is, because the game is balanced around you having enough resources to get to the pyramid. Getting back again is a massive ask on the highest difficulty, and it will probably be where you will die most often. But yeah, there's so much wonderful weirdness in this game. I mentioned dinosaurs earlier. I wasn't joking. Those are a real thing in this game if you know where to look. There's like vision quests and extra dimensional portals and the Necronomicon and rifts in the Zare of reality. Like, it goes very nutty, but the medicine all goes down very smoothly because it is nice and charming. The music is a little basic, but it does set the scene very nicely. I like the pixel art style that they use. There's a variety of different, totally valid play styles, although admittedly some characters are easier than others. I do actually really like the sort of flavor that they do with the characters as well, just from like who they bring with them and what they bring with them. So if you're playing as Aleister Crowley, your starting party is 3 cultists and a pile of cocoa leaves.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Tesla gets a unique ray gun that is a little tricky to use, but it's a lot of fun once you figure it out. There's just great stuff there. And you find yourself having these comical, these absurd debates with yourself of like, oh man, what do I leave behind? I'm all way down. I don't have any more inventory capacity. Because I'm carrying 3 mummies, a bunch of gems, a crystal ball, and the telescope in addition to just my normal day-to-day kit. And it's like, I can't leave behind the mummy. That's fame and fortune. And it's like, you should leave behind the mummy. You're running out of water. But yeah, it's silly and fun and lighthearted, and it has a lot of replay value. If you just sort of do like the same difficulty, same character over and over, it does get a little bit repetitive. And admittedly, things like there isn't voice acting, but there's like box text, scene setting text for a lot of things. And you do kind of run out of stuff you haven't seen before pretty quick when it comes to that front. But because it's all silent and just easily skipped if you want, it doesn't really slow the game down at all. Like, there is literally a luck of the dice component to the game in general, obviously, both with combat and with the exploration. It's like, well, we ran out of torches. You can roll the dice to see if you can make it through this dark cave without them. And Bob is dead. Well, I don't know if he's dead, but he's not here anymore. He's never coming back. Say goodbye to Bob, everybody. And
Bye, Bob.
And like I said, that's usually just a fun anecdote. I love the times when Bob did come back, but he had to eat these weird mushrooms he found along the way, and now he has, like, giant ossified claws on his hands that he doesn't like to talk about. It's actually a good thing, because it means he does more combat damage. But, yeah, so it's silly. I like it. It's not like... I'm not going to sit here and tell you, like, oh, yeah, well, this is, like, one of my favorite games of the past couple of years, but I promise, I'm not usually much of a roguelike person. I've slowly warmed up to them over the years, but I can still sort of count on two hands the number of ones I've really gotten into, and this is one of them, and it was one of the earliest ones. It's like, it was FTL, then this, and then Hades, and Hades is sort of what kicked the door down, and I was like, okay, I'm actually going to try more of these now. But yeah, this, it still managed to get in there, so... highly recommend it. It goes on sale all the time. There is a sequel. I haven't played it, but
I was gonna ask.
Yeah, like I'm aware that it exists. Actually, me playing it for this episode was the first time I had played it in a good long while, and they implemented achievements in between when I last played it and now. Which has actually honestly been a lot of fun, because it's fun to see the kinds of things they do and don't give achievements for. Like, I got one the other day for actually finding that soldier who got lost I mentioned earlier, and successfully curing him of his cannibalism before returning him back home to his wife. Because spouses don't eat other spouses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can tell that, like, even now the devs are still having a little bit of fun with it after all these years. So yeah, highly recommend. It's cute, it's charming, it's simple, it's fun. It's got a lot of content to it. Ultimately, with like the number of playable characters and the different zones and everything, and you're gonna get a lot of fun stories out of it.
You know what this game reminds me of?
Do
and I'm definitely not the first person to make this comparison. But it's like if the Oregon Trail was like a pulp adventure novel.
Ah.
It does kind of have that vibe to it. Yeah, like if Oregon Trail was a pulp adventure novel and also had gameplay. I mean, I know it had gameplay, but you know what I mean? Like, if it was actually fun to play.
Because remind me, I've seen you like stream this game like years ago. This was the game that had like the hex crawl bit to it, right? Everything's in hexagons?
Yes, the world you explore is laid out in a grid of hexagons, a la something like Settlers of Catan or Civilization.
Or Dungeons and Dragons. This would be like kind of a cool like board game too, I think.
I mean, I kid you not, I did check, like, is there a board game version? It is German. They love making board games of video games, but insofar as I could tell, there is not.
Okay. I mean, I think the digital version would be better anyway, but like it would make a pretty good adaptation, I think.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, if we were going to get the board game, maybe we need to ask for another €50,000 grant from the Medienbord Berlin-Brandenburg. How's your spell? How's your German, Hyuka? I need to write a letter.
Oh, I have bad news for you.
Uh
But
oh.
that is something I did want to touch on a little bit is there are a lot of countries, the US is not one of them. Like Europe does a lot of this, Australia I know does this as well, where like
Mm-hmm.
there are just arts grants for video games and you don't have to be reliant on necessarily on, well, I work 40 hours a week and I make this video game in my spare time. You know, you can work part-time and use the grant money to offset some of it, or you can
Mm-hmm.
use the grant money to hire people to do the skills that you don't have, you know?
Yeah, the
And
the devs of this game actually like quit their jobs at Jaeger once they got the grant so they could work on this full time.
yeah, and that is
Hmm.
something I think we should, you know, be doing more of because the arts are very important.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like video games are art despite what some extremely consumerism pilled people will tell you. And having these kind of grants, it makes like it allows interesting ideas to exist without necessarily having to like get like venture capital funding or go to just deal with annoying publishers. You know, you can just get money from the government to make the game you want to make. That's just a cool and good thing.
And we're all about cool and good things here on Unfocused. Yeah, speaking of cool and good things, Scott, yeah, you've been playing some Mario Galaxy 1 and 2.
Yes, I have. Very cool. Very cool segue. Very cool set of games. Yes, this was announced for the 40th anniversary of our beloved titular Italian plumber. People were worried what they were going to do. There were rumors going around that they're going to release the original new Super Mario Brothers games. That would have been neat, but no, we've people have been waiting for this, especially Galaxy number 2.
Because Galaxy 1 was already technically on Switch if you bought Super Mario 3D All Stars, which they released for the 35th anniversary, but only temporarily because Nintendo likes making weird decisions.
That is the weirdest decision they have made. I still, to this day, do not understand why they did that. Like, I know that
FOMO is very profitable.
Yeah, but you would think they would be engaged in that more with their games. I don't know. It's a minefield. But they did release this. It is for Switch 2 and Switch 1. It is enhanced for Switch 2. 4K visuals on dock mode, 1080p handheld mode. I'll just get a visual. It looks nice. Like it's one of those games. It's from the later on the Wii. Oh, sorry, early on the Wii. So still got that GameCube essence to it, but you know, a lot of stuff that back in those days was just blooming everything. You put bloom on your walls, bloom in your lights, everything. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a weird, nice thing that they upscale to 4K. You do sort of notice, you know, not everything is rounded. There are a lot of not jaggies, but sort of there are a lot of rough corners. To the Mario models, especially Mario. Yeah. Not as bad as like the low polygon Mario when he's far away in Super Mario 64, but you can notice it. But it's honestly, I've been sort of thinking about this because I would not call this I don't even call it a remaster. It's not a remake. A remaster, I would think, it just seems to be, although it's high resolution and updated textures, but it is still that same Nintendo Wii game, right down to the Nintendo Wii controls.
It is an enhanced port.
Enhanced port. Yes, not a. Yeah. But this is So yeah, the original was back in 2007 for Super Mario Galaxy 1. Galaxy 2 was 3 years later. But as I said, this is very much a Wii game, and it's sort of you gotta give them props because they're confident with it, but it's also somewhat a little bit arrogant in the way that if this was like a remake, any other company would go, right, we would redo these aspects, that you need the Wii pointer. Nintendo, no, it's something you need.
Want to play it on the Pro Controller? Too bad. You have to use the motion controls with the Pro Controller. That was one of the things that kind of turned me off playing Galaxy 1 in 3D All-Stars.
Yeah. Because with the thing with the because the thing is you got two things with the motion controls. You got the motion control itself, which you use for certain things, like there'll be levels where Mario has to get on top of a ball and roll around, and you use the motion controls to do that. And then you've also got the pointer controls. And so with the one, because you don't have a Wii sensor bar to help with the pointer, you actually use motion controls for act like a mouse. And when you if it gets off center, you can press the R button to position it back to the center. But I tell you what, some of these levels, I was fighting through between having it just using the Pro Controller and then getting frustrated and then either using the Joy-Cons themselves or taking it out and using it in handheld mode. Because it's just some of the motion controls, like with the ball one, it's just, you got to get it exactly right. There isn't too much pointer controls. The main thing with the pointer controls that you're using it to sort of, you got these things called star bits.
Yeah.
They're like coins, but they're all around the place. And pretty much the thing with star bits, you can use them to shoot at things, sort of like knock it, like they distract an enemy. But the main thing is that you got these characters who will eat up these star bits to basically access other levels. So it's sort of a collecting thing you do, and it's the idea is that you're supposed to play like dual Joy-Con, so you can, like, if you see a whole bunch of star bits, you just waggle it around like a pointer and collect all of them.
Yeah.
It's sort of very annoying to do like a motion with the Pro Controller. You just have to move both your hands left and right in a far position. Handheld mode, you can use a touchscreen to do that. Now, in the original 3D All-Stars, I think you can only use the touchscreen for the pointer controls, but in this re-release, you can actually use motion control as well. So you can just slightly tilt the Switch or Switch 2 to use the point controls.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I didn't play exclusively on one sort of control set, I would say. But this is level design I love. Like this sort of smaller levels, sort of akin to Mario 64. You're not going around like, say, like Mario Odyssey and collecting a whole bunch of stars. It's sort of a small amount per level, usually about 3. They're sort of short and sweet, and it's not, and it does guide you to where you've got to go. You've got some great ones, obviously, like Good Egg Galaxy, fantastic soundtrack with that. Honey Hive Galaxy, where you become a bee Mario. And then you gotta climb up, you gotta fly up to get to the queen bee, they got a lot of fur physics in this game. You have to go around, you have to climb around the bee to help her itch, which is you got to get the whole things to get like a shooting star thing to go to another section.
It's only the game Shadow of the Colossus could have been.
Yeah, exactly. But this is sort of the basis. Really good game. But I gotta be honest, obviously Mario Galaxy 2 is just sort of dials that up to 11. I mean, this is when they actually were able to go, right, this is that for a lot of uncut stuff, the cut stuff they had, they were able to put this into Galaxy 2. They were more focused. It included Yoshi. So that's another thing. People worried about it was going to be hard to do with the pointer controls with Yoshi, but they managed to do it because Yoshi used the pointer controls to aim your tongue.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you do that, like you get like you can scoop up enemies, or there's certain ledges you can just climb up or push towards you. But it's just a lot more refined, I would say, in Galaxy 2. Like in the original Galaxy, the level design, you had these things called prankster comets, and there was the case where you get into like a certain you're in a spaceship and you go to like the kitchen or the bedroom, and that's where you go to certain levels. And then if you go to a level, if there's a prankster comet, you would have to do that prankster comet. So you couldn't do any other, which has been annoying. You can go out and actually tell someone to like reconfigure the prankster comet to be somewhere else randomly, but you have to use star bits for that. My Galaxy 2, just pretty much you get comet coins to enable the prankster comet. They just appear, and you can just select them if you want or not. And it's more of a standard level, like sort of a stage design when you're selecting levels in Galaxy 2. I've completed both of them. And the thing with Mario games is that there's always more to continue on. Both games have 200. They're actually a little bit more, but the base game is like 240 stars each for each game.
That's wild.
They do this differently in each game. The way it works is that you have your standard in Mario Galaxy 1, you have your standard 120 stars, and then it effectively says, okay, now you can play a Luigi and collect those stars again. And so Luigi is like the original Japan Super Mario Bros. 2, where sort of he's a bit more floaty, a lot less traction.
But he jumps higher,
it's sort of harder. He jumps higher, but just a lot harder to stop. So it's sort of a hard mode, effectively. So you do the stars again. And then once you do that, you get like a special level. I prefer Galaxy 2, where once you get the 120 stars, then you collect what's called green stars in that game. And what it does is that you got, for each level, it just has the same amount for green stars, but the green stars are effectively, it's not as like each mission is sort of like this sort of certain way you do it. It's sort of like, okay, you gotta like, there's a mechanic you gotta do with it. Like you gotta make sure you get the ball in, or like you got a sort of swimming level. This one is sort of like, okay, this is just a level, but there's a star there. It's just some random place. And you just got to go get it. So like higher up, you got to make sure you time your jumps right and do like a wall jump to get it, to try and get it. It's not as if you got like a time limit, or you got 1 bar of health. So it's just it's an easier way. It's an easier way. And it's just a neat way just to say, right, just go through the levels again, but just it's a hunting thing.
Okay.
Effectively. Yeah. But yeah, I've people have been waiting for this one. People are expecting it to be like part of. They were going to update 3D All Stars with this. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, funny thing with my All Stars, even though it's not on the actual eShop, like you can't buy it anymore. They still released significant updates to it, like. They did like GameCube support for Mario Galaxy, and they did Rumble support for the N64 controller for the Mario 64, and they even did it for Switch 2 when they actually had the NSO GameCube controller support for that.
Oh,
so
cool!
They're still updating. They're updating for a game you cannot buy anymore. If you're one of those lucky few who bought it, great. But if no, tough. Ah, oh, it's a thing. What was it? The couple of frustrating ones. There's this one annoying one where you're in like a sort of a junkyard, and the idea you're supposed to get you got like a time limit, and you got all these rubbish piles, and you're supposed to throw a bomb at a rubbish pile and sort of make sure the explosion is angled right so that it detects multiple garbage piles.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I did this in Galaxy 1. Oh,
Uh, I will say, at least with this one, you can just press the Y button to do the spin. You don't have to waggle it. You can still waggle, but you can just press the button.
thank God.
Oh, yeah. So as I said, it's just it is pure joy. I would say 90% of it is pure joy, and the last 10% it's just with the motion controls. It's just frustrating. It's just frustrating. But absolute classic. Please, Nintendo, do not take this off the eShop. But I look. I dare say they probably won't, but you just never know. But yeah, if you got a Switch or Switch 2, look, you know what it is. You go get it. That's
It's Mario Galaxy. It's a no-brainer. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a powerful game. You just feel really good to play it. Now, speaking of something with some power, Hilka, you've been playing some Power Wash Simulator, the sequel.
I have. Yes.
The legend continues.
Yeah, this game, at time of recording, came out earlier this week. So let's call this first impressions. But I had some thoughts on it that I wanted to talk about because I have very mixed feelings on Power Wash Simulator 1 and 2, which is weird considering I've played Power Wash Simulator 1 for nearly 100 hours. But we'll get into that. First, let's do some basic info on Power Wash Simulator 2. Hey, did you like Power Wash Simulator 1?
It's a pretty soothing game. I read it's not my fave, but I like it. Yeah.
Well, here's more of the same, but with extra features. The ideal situation for a sequel. Some
more
of the changes,
and also more.
Some of the changes, you have a new washer, which is better for. It's like I forget what it's called because again I've only played this game for a little bit. But it has a big circle attachment, and it spins in a circle that sprays water, which is good for cleaning like large surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
You also have access to scissor lifts in some levels. You have access to like you can hang off things and clean billboards while I think it's called abseiling technically. That's what the achievement called it in any case. And there's a home base which you can decorate for reasons that I have yet to discover, like if it matters at all. And there's more stuff to clean. Basically, like it is by and large more or less the same game. The one thing that I find very strange is they drastically changed the controls in ways
Interesting.
that are intuitive, unless you're like me and have almost 100 hours of muscle memory from the first one. Now, there is an option in the settings to change it back to the classic controls. Don't worry.
Good.
But like in the first one, there were some things in the controls that I just never understood why they were like that. You know, like crouching. No, not crouching. The button to turn on like auto fire on your power washer so you didn't hold down the trigger. That was like right on the D-pad or something, right? And now it's just the right bumper on your controller, which makes so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, a change that big Like, most of the controls are very different nowadays. And yeah, I wonder, like, why these controls weren't like this in the first place. Because when you look at the control scheme, it just makes so much more sense for it to be like this. Like, I never really understood why the control scheme in the first one was the way it was. I just sort of accepted it as the cost of doing business of playing this game.
Could you rebind any of the keys?
Maybe. I don't know. I never checked, to be honest. I just learned how to play it from the tutorial. But the thing I want to talk about with Power Wash Simulator 2, and by extension Power Wash Simulator 1, which is a game we have talked about on this podcast before, albeit a very, very, very long time ago. It was, I'm going to guess, in like the first 5 or so episodes of this podcast, is my mixed feelings on it. Because on the one hand, this is like the perfect game for when you need like a low amount of stimulation and you just want to relax. Like, you don't have a lot of energy, but you still want to do something that doesn't take a lot of mental or physical effort. That's great. That is the reason I love these games. Or, let me rephrase. That is the reason I play these games. On the other hand, whenever I try to play either Power Wash Simulator and I don't feel in exactly that way, they're the most boring games I've ever played in my life. And it's a weird feeling.
I hear they're actually good multiplayer games. Like, it's a great thing to be doing while talking with friends. Like, we should consider playing it while we're doing these podcasts.
Like, it's weird to have a game that I've played for so long, but the most like emotional reaction I've ever had when thinking about it is, sure, I guess I'll play that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm never excited to play Power Wash Simulator. I'm never like, ooh, I can't wait to get back to cleaning this giant teapot-shaped house. It's always like, I'm really tired. I guess I'll play Power Wash Simulator. Like,
That's
there
valid.
is value.
That's a valid niche. Yeah.
Yeah. There is value in having games that fill that niche, but there is also just the weird feeling in the back of my mind of like I was pretty tired last night and I was playing it last night and I was playing it for a while and I looked at the clock and it was like 8:30 p.m. and I was like, I feel like I've played Power Wash Simulator for the past like 5 hours, when realistically it was more like an hour and a half. And so I was just like, I need to do something else, because it is, for better or worse, in both the good way and the bad way, a great time waster.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I played like an hour of Pokemon Legends ZA after that, and I felt so much more accomplished after also doing something that's kind of like video game filler, right? I was just grinding. I was just leveling up Pokemon. And I can't quite like get these two thoughts straight in my head.
I think it's okay to have like cozy comfort food, no spoons today kind of games. Like,
Yeah.
I played Dorf Romantic a few years ago with that exact sort of mindset of like, it's the thing I play when I don't have the energy for other things, and it was really good at it, and I was very happy to have it.
Yeah, and like I said, there is value in having games that are like that. But I also just feel kind of like weird about, this is the game I play when I don't want to be engaged very much. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this, Scott? Because it's an interesting discussion, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I have any sort of games that sort of I play to sort of like sort of a very chill. I would say if I want to play like a chill game, I would replay something that I've already played and I know I can just beat. Just something effectively repetition.
Yeah.
But it's sort of anything is sort of it's this way you just like we a lot of times people have just their second screening stuff. They have something, they have a YouTube video in the background while they're doing something. They're not focusing on the actual video itself. But it's sort of just that it's nice sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of, you do sort of want something where you do have a big accomplishment and you sort of have something to show for it. So sometimes that might be why sometimes people get annoyed with sort of chill games. You sort of, I want to be able to play something nice and easy, but I also something an achievement.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense or.
The second screen thing you brought up is interesting because I'm not going to front. Like, I've done that with these games. I think one of the things I said when we talked about the first one on the show is like Power Wash Simulator on Steam Deck while I'm sitting on the couch and like Bones is playing on my TV was a big like relaxation / recovery activity. And I've done this with like second screen stuff with other games as well. Like Skyrim is a big like I listened to just a lot of podcasts while playing Skyrim. And but Power Wash Simulator feels like it's like more specifically designed to be that kind of game, which is an interesting design philosophy.
Yeah, it's in on the joke.
Which
essentially
makes the fact which makes the way it tells its story, because fun fact, there's a story in these games, kind of odd. Because if you are indeed like accepting that your game is frequently going to be played like while people are at most paying like 3/4 attention to what's going on in it, then having the story be in like text boxes at the bottom left of your screen, an odd choice. Because like I guess the story like only sort of matters. And if you're accepting something like that, you definitely don't want voice acting. But the story does give you context for why you're going to the places you're going, right? And why some of the really weird stuff happens in these games. Because there's like, to not give too much spoilers for the plot of Power Wash Simulator, but there's stuff with like ancient like mer people civilizations and not having the context for why are we cleaning this giant merman statue would, I think, be very confusing. It's a weird thing because that specific aspect makes me think that maybe it doesn't like ride that line too well, because you do have like messages like when you select a level of like, okay, here's the person that asked you to clean their car or their billboard or their submarine, some text from this character. But at like 20%, 40% and 80%, I think, completion in the level, you get the like text message at the bottom left of your screen as well that give you more stuff potentially from different characters. In this game, there's a lot more characters having conversations with each other because there's like a Muckingham group chat where characters interact. And it is kind of funny to me that there's like actual factual continuity from Power Wash Simulator 1. Like characters will reference stuff that happened in the first one, and I'm just like, Yeah, I vaguely remember that happening, I guess. I wouldn't be able to tell you who you are, character who is talking to me right now. Like, oh yeah, you're the guy with the cat, right? And he'll be like the mayor of Muckingham, who was
Mhm.
instrumental to the story of the first one. And that's all I remember. I don't know. Like, I I like these games. I bought Power Wash Simulator 2 like on release day and I've played it for like 8 hours. But I also just can't shake the feeling that I'm wasting my time when I'm playing them. And I haven't quite decided ultimately how I feel about them yet, but I also can't really stop myself from playing them. Not in like a weird addiction way, but just in like they fill that very particular niche for games when I'm in a very specific mood, and there is value in that, as I've said. But there's always something in the back of my mind going like, is this really how you want to spend your afternoon? You know?
But I
That's
guess
that's called neurodivergence, Heel. Cause that's just like like that's just a personal hang up of you feeling as though you are not being like productive enough or what have you, even though we're talking about, relaxation and entertainment and and leisure. Like
I mean, there is an
this is a
aspect of
field
that.
where yeah.
I don't doubt it, but there's
What
also like even when comparing Power Simulator to like you could be playing like a game that's more interesting right now, you know? Like, oh, you haven't played Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake in a while. You should I kind of want to get back to that. But no, here I am doing digital chores. And
because you want to, and that is valid.
yeah.
here's the thing though, right? Like that's the thing I'm trying to get at is I don't actually know if I do want to, but I do it. And that's the thing that's really throwing me off.
I sort of feel like you. I understand you're sort of it's sort of mundane, but I also feel like with this industry, this video game industry, it is ripe with exploitation about trying to get the most eyes on screen. The most most time on a particular product, and I sort of feel like I'm sort of glad these sort of games is that it's sort of yes, it may be chill. It's not something that you're going to be heavily invested in, but it's probably something better than doing something like cookie cutter, like mobile game that you have to put real mode money in to sort of level up, and that sort of scary aspect. Whereas this is just like this is what this game is about. Take it as it is.
I agree,
Yeah, like
but I do want to point out that that's a very low bar. Like, at least it's not Genshin Impact is not like that much of a compliment.
Hmm.
I would compare it to playing a musical instrument because, like, I play a number of those, and I will find myself going to old standbys, just sort of playing songs I've played literally hundreds, if not thousands, of times. I'm not learning anything new. I'm not really developing a skill. I'm barely maintaining a skill that by this point I could take for granted. I'm not being quote unquote productive, but I'm having a good time, and it's what I have the energy for, and it's what I'm just in the mood for. And me, relishing that experience and finding comfort in it is not diminished by it being, the developmental equivalent of treading water. It's okay if I'm not making progress towards anything new. It's okay for it to just be what I need in the moment.
Hmm.
I don't always need to learn new instruments or new songs. I can just play what I know on the ones I already have, and that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So that's what I wanted to talk about with Power Wash Simulator 2. Do I think you should buy it? If you like the first one, then yeah, absolutely. Like, again, I bought it on release day, and I feel this way about it. And I imagine there's a lot of people who just like, no, yeah, I dig this game, and I'm going to play it. And sick, yeah. There's definitely something to it, and I'm going to keep playing it for sure. Like, I bought it.
Yep.
But I wanted to have this discussion about it because I did have complicated feelings on it, and I think this did help me formalize them somewhat. Like, it helped me get my ducks in a row, and I appreciate that. From putting ducks in a row to putting buildings in a row because you're making a city. Zeskra, you've been playing some Knights and Merchants, haven't you?
I have, yes, despite swearing an oath to never do that again.
I was curious about, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but like, the last time you played this game, you didn't have like the most positive things to say about it, especially the later levels of the campaign. So I am very curious to hear why you decided to play it again.
Well, sit you down and I should tell you a tale. For those who don't know, Knights and Merchants, specifically Knights and Merchants The Shattered Kingdom. It's a real-time strategy game by Joymania Interactive, released in 1998. We're going back a ways for this one. And also, I'm literally only just now realizing I'm doing 2 German games today, so woo!
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Germany. But yeah, 1998, real-time strategy game. And, late 90s were a good time for real-time strategy games. They were a little wonky and a little mercurial in the mid-90s when the genre was still kind of finding its footing. But, like, by 1998, we had like, Warcraft 2, we had StarCraft, we had like, Outpost 2, Divided Destiny. There was a lot of stuff that had come along and really solidified a lot of things. And this game takes no cues from any of that. Because this is insofar as anyone could find, this is the first real-time strategy game ever developed in Europe. Like, there were city management games, like The Settlers and whatnot before this, but this is the first proper real-time strategy game from Europe. And wow, does it show. Also, wow, can you tell this game is German. This game has the most intricate, complicated resource system out of any RTS I have ever played. And that's not an exaggeration.
That's like the thing that is stopping me from playing this game. Because people who've listened to this and Unfocused long enough will know I'm a big freak for real-time strategy games. Like Age of Empires 3, Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, Age of Mythology, Rise of Nations, Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth 2. But the resource system in this game feels like it's going to make my brain explode, I think.
Yeah. For comparison, Warcraft 2, one of the greatest real-time strategy games of all time, had 3 resources. There was gold, there was timber, and there was oil. And that was it. Knights and Merchants, 28 resources.
Yeah.
It is monstrous, and the result is a frighteningly complicated economy that is very, very easy to crash on accident in ways you will not realize until about 40 minutes after it started happening.
Because there's also resources that take multiple steps, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, case in point, there's all of your units, both military and civilian, need to be fed. They have a hunger bar, and so they need food. Like, civilian units will feed themselves, and in military units, you have to tell them to, get fed by a supply train. So, let's say I just want a loaf of bread to feed a unit.
This is the example.
Well, you get a loaf of bread. Yeah. If you want a loaf of bread, you need to get that from the baker. In order to make bread, the baker needs flour. In order to get flour, the baker... Well, sorry. In order to get bread, you go to the baker. In order to make bread, the baker needs flour. To get flour, you have to go to a mill. And in order to make flour, the mill needs corn. And in order to get corn, you need a farm. In order to have a farm, you need to build the farm using stone and wood. In order to get wood, you need to have a sawmill. But in order to make wood, the sawmill first needs tree trunks. In order to get tree trunks, you need a lumberjack's hut. Or actually a woodcutter's hut, because this game has very weird translations sometimes. Point being, that's like 17 steps in order to just get to a loaf of bread.
Which is realistic, I suppose. Like, what's the Carl Sagan thing? In order to make an apple pie from scratch, first you must create the universe.
Mm-hmm. I actually had an economic crash a few days ago that kind of illustrates how weirdly interconnected this gets. I was experiencing a famine in my settlement. I was like, oh, people are not getting fed enough. That's weird. Why is that? I can see. It's not that I'm not producing enough stuff, it's that it's piling up because I don't have enough serfs to carry it from one building to the next. Serfs are your like go-to peons. Their entire job is just carrying stuff around. So they'll take the corn from the farm, bring it to the mill, take the flour from the mill to the baker. And I could tell I don't have enough of those. So the resources are just kind of like squandering. They're not actually turning into usable food. So, okay, I'll train more peons. Serfs, I mean. But training units requires gold. And I had run out. Okay, that's okay. You can make more gold in this game. You mine gold ore, and then you mine coal, and then you bring those to a metallurgist who will smelt them into actual usable gold. So why isn't that coming in? I can see that the metallurgist is not doing anything. Oh, it's because I have a coal shortage. So because I had a coal shortage, I had a gold shortage, and therefore had a serf shortage, and therefore had a food shortage, which is why people were starving. And it was very, very hard to fix that.
Because you also need more serfs to carry the coal to the metallurgist, and
Well, to answer that question, a good question, genuinely. Okay, I'd run out of coal because my mines had run dry and I hadn't built any new ones yet. But if I want a new mine, that means I need a new miner who I need to train using gold. You see the dilemma.
Yes.
Very often you can kind of claw your way out of that, but you do need to be careful. Like, it is possible to bottleneck yourself, because most of the resources in this game are actually very finite. Food is infinite if you can just get this everything set up correctly. Like, your farmers will always just plant new crops, and that means you can always replenish food. And wood is replaceable because your lumberjacks actually plant new saplings that do grow into new trees. So food and wood, replaceable. Everything else is finite. So gold, finite. Coal, finite. Iron, which you use for advanced military units, finite. Stone, which you use for buildings, is finite. Importantly, you also need to use stone to make paths between all of your buildings to link them together like you did back in Warcraft 1. Yeah. Warcraft 1 did that, and then the series dropped that feature like a hot rock because nobody actually liked that system. In this game, it is mandatory. And you need to do some civic planning as well, because if you make your streets too narrow, you will get traffic jams.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
This sucks. I'm getting mad just hearing about this.
My favorite RTS game, Command & Conquer, it's just got one thing, Tiberium. That's it.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Straightforward, to the point. We love it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a genuinely super complex economy and civic planning that you need to figure out within the constraints of what you're doing as well. And there's even factors to consider, like, okay, I have a pretty well-defended, safe base. I have a good bottleneck because there's a mountain range protecting me. Yeah, if you mine enough of that stone away with your quarries, there's not a mountain there anymore, and you just opened up a flank that exposes you to enemy attacks.
Oh no.
Because you're mining resources
Ooh.
that you need to build your city. Which is really cool, and also, another layer of complicating things. On top of all of that, there's the entire military aspect of it, the actual, combat, which is pretty terrible because this is an RTS game that doesn't let you click and drag to select multiple units.
Oh god. Do you at least
Ooh.
have, I forget what the command groups? Map, if I press 1 on my keyboard, it'll be all my footmen, that you can
No.
set those?
No.
Gross. Controllers.
Not a thing.
That's what they were called.
Yeah. No, instead, the way using multiple units work is similar units, so infantry, archers, cavalry, etc. When you make them, if you make them quickly enough in a row, if I make 6 just by tapping tap 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 tap, the game will know okay, that is a batch of 6. This is now a group of 6. If I later make 2 more, I can tell them to join in with the existing 6. So with 1 click, I will have a group of 8. But I do still need to select my infantry individually and tell them what to do. Then select my archers, tell them what to do. I can't click and drag. Also, once a block of units is locked in, how do I describe this? Let's say I have those 8 cavalry I mentioned earlier. If a single one of them touches an enemy and starts fighting, the entire block of 8 is now committed to combat, and I can no longer control them or tell them where to go until they have finished fighting.
So they can't, run away.
Correct.
Ugh.
This makes things like flanking maneuvers really hard to pull off, which is a problem because one of the only types of variant missions that the game throws at you is missions where you don't have a base, it's just combat, and flanking is very important and necessary, and it's really hard to do because if you do it a little too tight and start fighting the enemy before you actually get around the back of them, well, take it from the top. Speaking of which, save. Save at the start of every mission. And also, I should say this right here, right now. I got my copy from Good Old Games. It's also available on Steam. The only reason I had to get it there is because the CD-ROM copy that I still own, because I had this game as a child and I've never thrown away the disc, it doesn't work anymore on Windows 10, obviously. Or Windows 11, as the case may be. It doesn't work on either. Every version of the game you can get nowadays has a bug, and it's a pretty bad bug, because this game is a soundtrack, and it's actually really pretty. We'll get into it later, but it's a really nice soundtrack. It's set to shuffle between different tracks.
Yeah.
And insofar as I can tell, the shuffle playlist has an empty slot in it, or something like that. It tries to access a track that isn't actually there at some point. You'll go through a couple songs, and then the randomizer hits an entry where there is no data, which means the game crashes instantly.
It's shocking, with how Good Old Games is with, making sure things run, that they haven't found a way to fix that yet.
Yeah. There are people who have done work to try and address that, and we'll get to that in just a sec, but yeah, if you have that issue, if you have random crashes in between songs, turn off the soundtrack. You can do that in the settings menu, and I will remind you that because this is a weird game from the 90s, you can't access the settings menu from the main menu. You have to do it when you're in a mission. Yeah, if you turn off the soundtrack, it massively improves the stability of the game. You're welcome. I wish I had known this the last time I played this game, because I lost countless hours of my life to, resetting and reloading after this happened. So
yeah, because some of the missions in the campaign are, multiple hours long, right?
Hyoka, the shortest mission in the game is 2.5 hours.
Gross.
There are 20 missions in this game.
Oh, right. Isn't the last one, like, legit? Didn't it take you, like, 12 hours?
13 hours and 48 minutes for one mission. Yes.
What the hell?
And then combine that with the fact that it can just crash and wipe all your progress. Oh my god. Oh no.
Well, that's a solvable problem if you turn off the soundtrack issue. That is 13 hours without crashing.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game gets really, really, really big with its maps and the amount of troops that you need to defeat in order to actually win. And the way the resource system works, it is almost impossible to just build a big infinite death ball or have a steady output of troops, because you need to build up a sufficient reservoir of all the resources you need to make military units. Like, if I want, tippity top, cream of the crop, a knight in shining armor on a horse, well, okay, I need a recruit to actually be the soldier. Fair enough, I can trade that with gold. I need a horse, which means I need to build stables and feed the horse a bunch of corn in order to actually grow to the point where I can ride it. I need metal armor, which means I need to set up the entire mine iron ore, smelt it with coal, turn it into metal beams, and then smelt the beams down and blacksmith them into armor pipeline. And then I need a metal sword, which is a similar but not identical pipeline where I can smelt the iron ore in the same way, but I need a different facility managed by a different dude in order to make the sword. Because
you need a blacksmith and
is
not a metallurgist. Yeah. Oh my god.
You need an armor blacksmith instead of a weapons blacksmith.
I am going to flip my desk. Like, what the hell? Why? Why would you design a game like this? Because
they're Germans. Like, I struggle to put it into words more eloquently than that, but there is a very everything has its right and proper place TM sort of attitude towards it. And this game has big, like, model train energy in a way. It's the satisfaction of setting it up right.
Oh my god, that's such a great way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. It's now, fair question at this point. Seskra, why are you playing this? This sounds torturous. You've only talked about the weird jank and the fact that it takes approximately an ice age and a half in order to beat the game.
It is a thought that has occurred to me, yes.
Because it is the best looking real-time strategy game that isn't actually 3D. Like, it's stupidly pretty. All of it. It's incredibly charming to look at with really, really high detail artwork. Because they did a Donkey Kong Country. They made 3D models, took pictures of them, and then used those pictures in a 2D engine.
Okay.
But they didn't just do that for all of the units. The map is Donkey Kong Country. I looked into it. They did something called Guro shading in a 3D engine, and then took pictures of that and created a whole bunch of variant tiles. Like, it's really pretty. You compare this to Warcraft 2. I love Warcraft 2. It's a great game. It doesn't look nearly as good as this. And the soundtrack, I very briefly mentioned it earlier in the context of bugs. The soundtrack is amazing. It's one of my favorites. Like, if you put the CD-ROM, which, again, I still have that, into a CD player, it will just start playing the soundtrack because they were that proud of it. And so they programmed it to work that way using the CD channel. And yeah, the composers, Joachim Schäfer and Gert Hoffmann, yes, I looked it up because they deserve their due credit. They did really, really good work. So it looks incredible. It sounds incredible. It's really charming and distinctive. And when the game is actually running as intended, it is immensely, like, fun to play, genuinely. Like, you do get the sort of Dorf romantic and or, like, model train sort of soothing vibe to it. Now you might be saying, but the soundtrack crashes, so it's a moot point. Yeah, I just run the soundtrack in VLC player. You could just do like just start playing it in VLC before you boot up the game, and it's fine. Oh, by the way, if you get the soundtrack from Good Old Games, that's a really bad quality version of the soundtrack for some reason. You can literally just get the sound files. You can literally just get the soundtrack by opening up the game files. Then it's going to look weird because it's all in a proprietary file format I've never seen again called .song. But you could just open that in Audacity and export it as an MP3. It's fine. You're fine. It's not a problem.
.song. Oh my god.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I played this as a child and never really got past like the third mission because dear God. And then a few years ago, I made myself play through it as like I must vanquish this demon from my childhood. And I had a pretty rough time with it because I learned a lot over the course of that playthrough, and that took a time to learn. Things like, oh, I should turn off the soundtrack. Things like, oh, these units are actually terrible and I shouldn't bother building them, etc., etc. Pro tip, everybody. Once you get siege weapons, you're going to want to use siege weapons instead of guard towers because siege weapons don't need lunch breaks and don't consume resources to fire their ammunition.
Sorry, the phrase siege weapons don't need lunch breaks, I think broke something in my brain.
That's not even a joke. Guard towers are a real thing and they're powerful, but the dudes manning them have to eat just like everybody else. And they don't get food brought to them, they go and walk to the inn. So if the enemy plans their attack right, they will do it when your dudes are on break. But a ballista is just a ballista and doesn't eat any food. Haha. I started playing this game again recently because I know some people who are really into old real-time strategy games and I just want to show off like, oh, here's this evolutionary branch on the tree that withered and died.
Yeah.
But it's been like, now that I actually know how the game works and how to navigate the jank, it's been weirdly compelling. And the thing is, I'm not alone in this. This game has obviously small, but fiercely loyal cult following. To the point where, as I am saying this, 28 people are online playing the online multiplayer of the fan-made remake that's been in the work for over a decade at this point and has clocked 344 years of playtime.
Damn.
The people who love this game really love this game. And that's not even the only fan work, because there's also Knights Province, an entire spin-off game that fans have made as a result of this. We are a tiny people, but we are a proud people.
There are dozens of you.
Dozens! Why, right now, there's 24 of us playing. There is also an expansion pack that's included in like every version you can get nowadays. Knights and Merchants, The Peasants' Rebellion, which kinda, sorta is like a Sonic and Knuckles to the Shattered Kingdom Sonic 3, in that a handful of features from the expansion are retroactively worked into the original. Things like Fisherman, which simplify your food economy slightly by fishing, and then you have fish, which you can eat, without having to take it to 4 other buildings first before it becomes edible. As well as an entirely new set of maps. So there was an attempt at quality of life improvement, is what I'm saying. So, all in all, I genuinely think people who like this genre in general should check out this game. I'm not saying play the whole thing, but if you're interested in like the Wild West early days of real-time strategy, play Knights and Merchants to see what happens when people who have barely any concept of what the genre could and should be decide they really want to make it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating from a design perspective. It's like honestly, unironically, swear to God, super charming and soothing, and the aesthetics are all 10 out of 10. Whether you want to play like past mission 2 is sort of up to you. Like, can you dig it? Can you vibe with it? Can you like put up with your like construction workers literally starving to death waiting for flagstones to pave the streets because they are hemmed in by other construction workers who need to finish their paving before your serfs can bring the stones to the one who is starving so he can finish paving? Yes, real actual thing, real actual problem. It's so janky. It's so unbelievably janky, and it is so slow. Nigh ungodly slow. I have never played a game in any genre that is this slow, but you are busy throughout those 13 and a half hours you spend on a single mission. You have to very constantly be juggling and monitoring and adjusting both your economy and your military situation. You need to make sure that your AI allies don't get wiped out, because that is also a thing in a lot of missions. And if they die, that's usually a game over. Not always, but usually. And pulling off that balancing act can be really hard. And I've got to be honest, there are times when the game just outright makes you do it through trial and error. Like, there will just be like surprise attacks where you won't know they happen until they happen, and if you had planned for them accordingly from the start, you can handle it. But if you didn't, well, sucks to be you.
Yeah.
But that is few and far between, and I just have a weird soft spot for this game, and that's probably a me problem. That's probably not a huge indicator of its actual quality, but it is at least like the community that loves this game still loves it 27 years later. Good God. Because there is the official website, knightsandmerchants.net. It still exists. Joymania don't run it. Joymania don't run it anymore because they're retired. Also, Joymania was two dudes. Two dudes made this entire game. Hang on, I have their names here. Peter Ullmann and Adam Spris. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Fun fact, they had actually worked on the Settlers series before this. So, like, you can tell that these were like city management devs coming into real-time strategy as a genre and kind of adjusting a little awkwardly. But yeah, if you want to read up on the history of this game, knightsandmerchants.net is absolutely filled with an insane amount of resources, including like discarded sprites for mechanics and units and buildings that they never successfully got around to implementing. There's very few games out there that go this hard on the sort of simulational aspect of real-time strategy games. But I find this one incredibly charming, and again, the aesthetics, 10 out of 10, including like little details even. It's not just that it looks pretty, it's that it's implemented in a pretty way. Like, when your construction workers are constructing a building, you know, your serfs have brought over wood and stone, and because it's all 2D graphics, what they just did was, we're going to draw a timber frame and then break that up into little sectors that appear in time with each like blow from the construction worker's hammer landing. So each time one of them goes bong, a new wooden beam appears to like construct the frame of the building. And then when they start using the stone, it goes bong, and that's like a couple bricks in a wall appearing as it slowly fills in the sprite, and you literally see the building rising up.
That's fun.
It's really fun. It's really efficient from a resource perspective, and it looks really good. Like, you compare that to something like StarCraft, which came out, I think, only like a year before this, or possibly even the same year. Like, StarCraft looks great, but when your building gets constructed, it doesn't have that level of charm to it. It just, it's not as pleasantly diegetic. You just sort of assume that the space wizardry does its thing, and then boom, you have a new factory up and running. Whereas here, I literally see my dudes putting the shingles on the roof, which has a very weird but very likable charm to it.
Yeah.
It's an oldie. I struggle to call it a goodie, but
it is very interesting.
Boy, howdy. Yeah, like, nobody else has ever made a game like this. Not even the devs themselves, because Knights and Merchants 2 got canceled before it ever, like, got released. This game also has, like, a terrifying roller coaster development history for everything after the base game. Like, the base game sort of happened as intended. The expansion took 3 years, which back then was an insanely long development cycle for an expansion set.
Yeah.
Like Warcraft 2 came out in 1995, and then its expansion, Beyond the Dark Portal, was 1996. This game came out in 1998. The expansion came out in 2001. And that's because they were going to just do essentially an add-on mission, like a CD with a bunch of extra missions. And then their publisher went bankrupt and got bought out, and then a new publisher had to take over. It's a whole thing. I'm very happy that we got what we got. It's janky, but I love it. It's really charming. It's kind of like Bubsy in a way. Like, it's not a good entry into the genre, but you should play it if you want an idea of where the genre was at the time.
What an awesome description.
It's the Bubsy of real-time strategy. God, imagine taking 13 and a half hours to finish one level of Bubsy.
I'd be shocked if the entirety of Bubsy was 13 and a half hours long.
The entire series?
Just the whole first game. Like, you finish every level in less than 13 and a half hours.
I think, all in all, Knights and Merchants has probably deprived me of at least 150 hours, probably more, probably closer to 200 hours of my life that I'm never getting back. But weirdly, I consented to all of it. I had a weirdly good time. Also, I should say, in classic 90s fashion, the cutscenes, outsourced to a completely different studio, they look like ass, but in a fun way. It's so, like, there's, like, almost no animation at all on these dead-eyed, like, polygonal homunculi as dramatic music is playing and supposedly big intrigue is happening, and all of it just looks like it looks like 1995 children's educational TV in terms of 3D graphics. That's where we're at. Mid-90s kids TV. VeggieTales would tell these people to try harder.
Yeah, VeggieTales face emotes. I've never seen it, but I know their faces emote.
That they do.
And on that note, that's going to do it for this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. I have been your host, Scott. Thank you, Hilka. Thank you, Sasha, for joining me.
It was a delight to be here as always.
Thank you for having her. It was a pleasure to be me.
Fantastic. And we will catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the GamePodular Unfocused podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps us get noticed. You can also listen and subscribe on other podcast services such as Spotify. Make sure to check our other show, Unfocused. Be sure to join our Discord server to interact with the lively GamePodular community. Follow us on Mastodon, Blue Sky, YouTube, Twitch, and at GamePodular.com for updates, news, and other content. Links are in the show notes. If you would like to support our shows, you can buy us a coffee or become a GamePodular Patreon. The details for both are on our website. This episode was edited by myself, and you can follow me on Blue Sky at Scotty J Man. You can also follow Hilka on Blue Sky at Gear12Turbo or on Mastodon at Gear12Turbo at kind.social. You can follow Seskra at Seskra the Spider at bsky.social, albeit at your own risk.